It sounds like a combination of an earthquake and a thunderstorm. This was recorded yesterday at 3 p.m. from Everett Avenue in the Highlands of Louisville. That's 3 miles away from the Givington plant in the Clifton neighborhood. The horrific workplace explosion that killed 2 workers, as Clifton is still picking up tonight. We're continuing our coverage here right now on the Givington plant explosion, which has now turned deadly. Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg says 2 employees are dead, one of whom was found late last night at the plant site. An investigation is now underway to determine what caused the explosion. And according to the ATF, leaders at this time wanted to emphasize that they don't believe there was any suspicious activity leading up to the incident.
But we have had an opportunity to speak with some of the plant employees that were there, witnesses in the neighborhood, and also there's, it's been broadcast, there is some surveillance video of the actual explosion. And so we don't have any reason to believe at this moment that there's any type of nefarious activity. But again, we want to make sure that we have a thorough investigation and we'll find out what the actual cause was. The company did not attend the mayor's news conference this morning after being invited to do so, but did say in a statement early this morning, "We are deeply saddened to share the news that 2 of our team members lost their lives in this accident."
And they go on to say, "We are in the early stages of investigating the cause of the incident and are cooperating with first responders and supporting agencies."
Louisville Metro EMS Director, Metro Safety Director Jody Mime is joining us live. Jody, you were there late last night when the body of the second worker was discovered. You all had been told earlier by the company, the mayor brought this up twice, that everybody had been accounted for.
Yes.
That had to be a shock to you, and were you all angered that the company told you that information? And because at the moment you were telling everybody that and thought it was over.
You know, we've responded to several of these throughout the years, and there's always misinformation. You just, you know, it's such a chaotic scene, and people run and they go everywhere. And if you go back to the Mayfield incident, when we first got to the candle factory there, we were told 74 people were still in that building. So, you know, it's chaotic. People think that they see other people, you know, who may be there, and then sometimes it takes, like it did yesterday, it takes family to realize that their family members aren't in the hospital, and then they make notifications back to us. We were still on the scene, and then they went right back to work.
From being out there on the scene, you saw how close those homes are out there to the plant. Some of the folks, you know, that are right behind it said they actually thought the train, other things that were right around the plant actually shielded their homes a little bit. We could have seen a lot of injuries if maybe it hadn't been there.
It really could. It was horrible. You know, the situation, the 2 members lost their lives. There's still a couple in the hospital and some other injuries, but it could have really been a lot worse. I expected a lot more people to be still stuck in that building when I got there. But you're right, the train cars, it could have protected, you know, on the east side, you know, in the close proximity of those homes. And that's why we tell people all the time, if you live close to anything, anything can happen anywhere, and you've got to be prepared and prepare your families of what could potentially happen.
Your family has a long history in firefighting in this community. You know all the industry around here. This is probably the most massive blast I can remember in many, many decades. A blast that big in the middle of a residential neighborhood. Do you have any early indication, preliminary information, what could have triggered such a massive explosion at a plant like this?
No, it's too early. You know, the Louisville Metro Arson Bureau is leading the investigation. We've now got the ATF. They're actually doing a kickoff meeting right now to the investigation. They're going to be on site in the morning conducting that, or they're beginning that. So, you know, the experts that get in there, they've got so many different analysis to run. They've got so many different subject matter experts in here. So, you know, I would expect they should be able to come up with something, you know, hopefully in the near future.
We heard a lot of compliments from doctors, from the city leaders about the emergency services, the firefighters, how great a job they did on decontamination, other things. What are the biggest recent events that have prepared emergency services in your mind for this?
We've you know, like Doug mentioned earlier, there's a lot of facilities around the area, and we've trained for years and years and years, and we've got a really good response system in Jefferson County with all of our responders, and I credit that to a lot of our special events because we're always together. We know everybody. We don't ever meet on the hood of a car. So, you know, with the hospitals, you know, we're always disseminating that information, and the EMS, when they transport those victims, they're communicating with the hospitals, letting them know what they're bringing them in so that they can be prepared for that.
You're in charge of worrying about the community safety. Do you want this plant to reopen, or is it time to say, no more in the Clifton neighborhood.
You know, it's one of those things about, rebuilding. I mean, they've had some issues obviously in the past. I mean, that's been brought up. So, I can't say that for sure. It's one of those things that, if they can come back and they can produce a safe, manufacturing.
Even after a blast this large.
Until we find out exactly what that cause was, and to see if they can rebuild. I mean, we've seen industry throughout the nation that's had issues, and they've been able to come back and make safe practices and make adjustments to what potentially caused those issues.
We were talking about it's one of the worst blasts that we can remember covering news here. Is it one of the worst things you've seen up close?
It's 30 years, I guess, and I can't answer that it's the worst. It produced different challenges. Obviously, with the close proximity with the houses, the entry and the exit with the first responders. Saying it's the worst, that's, I hate to say it like that, but it produced different challenges that others have not.
Any loss of life is disturbing, not to all of us, but to you as well. You were there when the body of that second employee was found. You didn't know they were there earlier. The firefighters went there for 3 hours. What was running through your mind as you were there and that person was discovered?
Just to produce closure for the family, just to get it out and to get them out safely where it doesn't produce any other injuries for the firefighters. Like I mentioned to you earlier, it was a very technical operation. They had to go slow, they had to go methodical. It was dark outside, so we had to put lights inside the building. They had to get special rescue equipment, special rescue trained firefighters from the Louisville Fire Department to come in. And it took about 2.5, 3 hours once they even found them and they begun to even get that person extricated. So, it's a lengthy process and everybody deals with it themselves, but all these different agencies, we've got to take care of our responders, and that's part of that mental health recovery after these incidents happen.
Jody Myman, thank you very much. I know you're heading to the meeting to start the investigative plan.
Yep.
Thank you
Thank you so much, and we appreciate all the emergency workers and everything they did. And again, if your home or property has been damaged, contact MetroSafe to report it. That number's on your screen, 502-574-2117. If you haven't reported it yet, do so. Emergency officials say if you have fallen debris, leave it where it is so they can check it out. That debris is not contaminated, but leaving it in place will help investigators piece together what happened.